we're going to talk a little bit about karma and abundance and how those laws work. So I wasn't actually going to do this. I have a zillion things going on today, and I was supposed to be doing a video for a different emotion empowerment kit, and we just did the abundance kit, and now we're launching the creativity kit literally today. And I was told that I needed to share some things before I can launch into that. So if you already got our kits and you've already been moving forward with your abundance from last month, that is so amazing. And I'm really excited for you. And some of this goes along with those meditations and those videos that you already have. And we'll be sharing this for bonus footage too. So you can go to my website and get all those links too if you've already got your abundance kit. If not, you probably want to get your abundance kit because I think we're almost out. So I wanted to share though a little bit about the law of abundance and also the law of karma and how they're linked and how to get out of our heads. And so one of the big things that pretty much every drum circle, or at least every drum making, is I share the reason why the drum is a circle. And the reason why, well, there's many reasons, but the reason why I love that our drums are circles. And that's because of the law of karma. And so the law of karma takes a circle, and anything that you send out always comes back. But it doesn't just come back, it comes back with momentum. So when I think of this law, and I love that my guides get to share with me in really simple terms that are easy to understand, because if we think of our subconscious is a lot like a 2-year-old. Or maybe, you know, some of us are more advanced and it's a 2nd grader. But either way, simplified terms, deep down at our root, it's going to be really hard for us to understand these complicated things where we get stuck in our heads and overthinking. Sometimes we do need to simplify it and then we can expand later, but we need to get to the simple root first. And so in the simplified way that my guides always show me, they show me the Matchbox cars. So do you remember the little racetracks that are rubber? I know they still have them. And we had them all the time, and oh, they were my favorite because I loved to get the car to go really fast so it would go through the loop, right? And then it would zoom off. And it's kind of the same thing with the law of karma. It doesn't come in, we don't give when we're at the peak or at the speed of our loop. We actually start the loop here. And even though there's only a little bit of momentum, there's not a whole lot, but by time we move up here, and we get to this point, just like a roller coaster or those Matchbox cars, it's amplified and it's going to go faster. And so anything you send out comes back 10 times more at least. And I tied this into abundance because recently I saw a post, and there's this cute young girl, and she's working 2 jobs, going to U of U, and Salt Lake had that huge windstorm, those hurricane level winds, and her little geoprism got smashed, like squished completely. And so relying on friends and Ubers, and it turns out like her brother had passed away from a car accident, and he was just 18 in the last year. And it was like, man, you know, she's probably sitting there going, what did I do to deserve all this? And then I saw that she had a sign, and the sign on her car said, help a girl out. Here's my Venmo. Because, you know, it wasn't a car that was covered under insurance. You could tell it was an older car. And so already things were financially going to be a little bit tighter. And I think we've all been there. If you haven't, then you are just absolutely blessed. There's been times when I've been homeless. And so anytime somebody's like, I'm sorry, if I can pay you on Tuesday, I really need a session now. And times are really hard. I'm like, girl, I got you. I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, I'm not, because I'm grateful that I get to do this, because I've had nothing and needed help and had 0 money to help me. And so I had to go through and make things harder and struggle because I wasn't able to get those resources I needed. And so that's where nonprofits come in later, right? And that's also where the law of karma comes in and our money comes in. And so this cute gal, I went and I gave some money, and they were just asking for $1 each. And, you know, I gave some money, and I was just like, I hope she gets her car. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, if 5,000 people all did $1 even, then that's still a functionable car, right? But what if she gets to have like a better car, a more stable car? What if the universe squished her car and then she gets to have something better in return? And a lot of times that's what we get, is we have a little something, and then something hard will happen to free up that space and create something bigger, to create more momentum. Just like the drum, as it's circling through, if something's in the way, the cycle stops and maybe drops. And so then you hit, oh, man, and I was trying to give it out and then it drops again. So we want to keep the circle going. And when it comes to our money, or even if you want abundance of something else, if you want abundance of love and you put love out, you're going to get 10 times that love back. And so allowing yourself to be one of the givers, because the universe loves to celebrate that giver. And so I had a little thought, because I had shared it on my Facebook. If you saw it, you saw it. If not, that's okay. This story of this girl in this car. And I had the thought, I'm like, well, I know there's a lot of people that are struggling, but most of us can give $1. Most of us can. We can go find, hunt in the cushions of the couch or the bottom of the car. And if we can't, we can send love and karma. We can share it. We can find somebody who does have $1 and help them to give it, because then we're also putting efforts towards it. And the universe always celebrates the giver, always. Now, sometimes we get stuck over giving, and that's because we're giving expecting to get. But when you give with the idea that you're creating that circulation, you're creating that paying it forward, it always comes back. And if it hasn't come back yet, then it's because we're blocking it from coming back. And I'll talk about that in a second. So as we go through, we're giving just a little bit and it comes back, and give a little bit and it comes back. But then also sometimes what happens is we give it and then we're like, I hope you come back, and we get scarce and we try and hold onto things and we try and crunch down and we almost get in our head. Another time I notice when I get in my own head too, is if suddenly people are asking for a lot of discounts, I'm like, is something going on that I'm asking somebody for a discount? Did I not purchase something or get something I needed because of money? Because money is a silly reason to not get what we want. It really is. And I know that sounds arrogant, but I can say that because I've had nothing a lot. And so, lived out of a car a lot. And so because I've had nothing, then when we do have that support and we do have something, we can say, yeah, money is a silly reason to not get help, to not get what we need, to not get what brings us joy. And it's interesting because then I start thinking, I'm like, okay, well, what has been coming up recently that I've been refusing to invest in myself or invest in something I needed or something I really want, or I told myself I couldn't have it. And one of the things came up is I have this beautiful tattoo piece, and it's been started and needs adjustments and more pieces to add, and each one represents one of my babies, and the price was 4 times the amount that it was when I started. And I mean, the art is beautiful, art is exquisite. And I was having this conversation with my sweetheart because I was like, I can't believe that I'm having this conversation. Like, here's something I want. And then I go, oh, I shouldn't get that because it's not really a need. I don't really deserve it. It's not really going to be an investment because it's not going to add anything to my life other than something pretty that I enjoy. Like it's not going to make me more loved. It's not going to get me a feller because I got you. It's not going to allow more clients to come. It's not going to, it's not in a place that, it's on my back. So it's not in a place that most people will ever see. No one's going to see it. So is it really worth me spending this money as a single mother and taking it from things I could responsibly spend my money on to this? And then I went, oh, Holly, we have an issue here. There's a disconnect. There's what you want and what you think you should have. And a lot of times this is where, when the law of karma comes in and we have that circle going in that momentum and we've given, right? I'll go this way because it's a little bit better on the camera. So we've given, and then it's starting to come back and they're like, oh, but do I deserve it? I don't think I do, because it's 10 times as much as what I gave. And so I should only get what I received, because then it's equal and then it's fair. But then that doesn't make sense, because then we are giving to receive, and you could just not give and stay the same. Like, if that's what we were supposed to do, we would just stay the same. Why give if you're just going to get back the equal amount? Oh, my ducks say hello. Can you hear them? And so if you're just going to get that equal amount, then why bother? And that's because even if you did get only the equal amount, you're still creating circulation. You're still pushing something out, creating a void, and then a vacuum comes in. Speaking of crazy winds, oh, now the chickens are coming over to say hi. I wish I could pan this camera all around and show you everything, but yeah, they're coming to see if I have any treats, I think. So even speaking of this wind, so let's say the wind goes out ta-da. And as this wind goes out, it creates a void. So wind is created from the hot and the cold, right? Oh, here come all the ducks. All the ducks come into the yard. Let me see, there's a chicken behind me. There she is. Look, she's literally right behind me trying to hide. That's so funny. So allowing that law of circulation, okay? So how do we get out of our heads? Because that's the next thing. Like, oh, I recognize this side of my brain. Hi, baby. I recognize that this side of my brain doesn't match that side of my brain. And since these two sides don't match, we need to find some way to shift in the middle. You can get a chicken. Talk about abundance. She loves to lay eggs all over the yard for me. So one of the ways that I love doing it is through the drum. I know you knew this was coming because I started with the drum. So when people make drums with me, one of the biggest number one intentions that we default to create when you say, okay, what's your intention? What do you want to bring into your life? What do you want to call in every time you drum? And a lot of times it's abundance. Abundance is like the first thing off our head. Why? Because we're like, I want more things. I want more love. I want more of everything. And so instead of focusing on just getting that abundance, it's more on allowing the abundance, allowing ourselves to have an abundance of ducks at our feet, allowing ourselves to have the space to say, you know, I would like to feel open to receiving the things that I want without any shame, without any guilt, without a need. Can I please have a surplus so that with that surplus, I can do something good. So I can give some back to somebody who needs it. I could go out and buy a car for somebody who needs it. Like, how awesome would that be? I wish I was at that point where I could say, oh, honey, you need a car? Here, I'll just buy the whole car for you. There you go. Enjoy. And I have teenage kids that I get to do that with. So I got my own kids. But allowing yourself to have space that you can say, you know what, I get to give. But also I don't have to give everything and I don't have to give all of it. I can give a little bit and increase that flow of karma and increase that flow of desire and money coming in and money coming out and love coming in and love going out. And so creating those voids, creating those spaces are always going to help us to open up and receive more. And so instead of going, oh, I hate that I have to pay this water bill that's so huge to water all these trees in the desert, I get to say, oh, look at this money circulating. This is awesome. I even had someone, they signed up to make a drum and they asked if they could do it in payments because it's, you know, around $300 to make your own drum. And especially if you're doing the larger size. And she really, really wanted a drum and she felt called to it. And I said, oh, honey, money is a silly reason to not get what you want. If you feel like your guides and your angels are saying now is the time, like we need this healing, and to wait would just make it a lot harder than it would be to try and figure out how we can do it now. I always say, like, please, let's figure something out because I really want you to have what you feel called to. Now, if it's a matter of being impatient, that's different. But if you feel that it's calling you at this time, I'm happy to do whatever I can, because I know that if every time I do that, that everything I need will be provided, because now I have not just myself that I'm asking for help for. I'm asking for help for myself so I can continue to help this one other person. And if I do that 50 times, then I have 50 people's angels also helping me. And so it comes through, and it's not out of a place of selfishness or taking. It's more of, if we all help each other and if we're all giving and flowing and allowing ourselves to receive and allowing ourselves to give and understanding, the more movement we create when it comes to money and love and abundance and supporting one another and even just sharing one another's information, workshops that they're doing, ideas, thoughts, the more we circulate, the more that law of karma comes into play. Karma is about a lot more than just, oh, you did something bad and something bad's going to happen to you. It's about all that you give comes back. All that you do gets to be amplified. And so allowing the amplification. So as we allow this amplification, sometimes we do still stay stuck in our head and we have thoughts of the past. And I mean, I grew up and I've been in so many abusive relationships that the whole self-worth thing and feeling hopeful, which is funny because hope's my middle name, literally, and feeling hopeful that things will work out and feeling like everything I have to offer is actually worth something and good enough. Like, those are serious, deep things that I've had to address over and over and over again as I heal deeper and heal deeper. And so it's interesting because this thing coming up recently, gives me a chance to dive in and try and heal deeper. And one of the ways we can heal super, super, super deep, I know that's a really fancy term, is through the drum. And when we allow the drum of either your own drum or the drum of just our heart on our chest, that can help to reset. So sometimes what we do is when we are feeling that wanting to constrict, that wanting to tighten in our money, tighten our belt. I mean, oh, I hate that term. I just need to tighten my belt. It's like, why? So you can have a muffin top, doesn't lap over, and then you're uncomfortable? Like, that doesn't feel good at all. Don't tighten the belt. Be more responsible. Be a better steward. Make a plan. Be creative. Let's not squish our bellies. Let's not squish. And it's funny that that phrase exists, because the belly is where your creation is. It's also, if you go into the lower chakras, it's where your receiving and your nurturing and your support comes from. And so all of your support comes from there, and you're giving to yourself, and then your creative spot comes there, and then comes up to your heart. And usually when we feel that tightness, when we feel that needing to restrict, we feel it in our chest, and then it goes down and it tightens everything. Our low back will start to hurt. That's usually a sign that you're not allowing yourself to feel supported. You're not allowing yourself to receive when things start to circulate. And so one of the things I do to clear that is, if I have a drum, I definitely get a drum. If I don't have a drum, I tap my chest. And because when you go, you know, you've been there, right? When you go to have your card, I mean, we've all been there at any point. You're like, I hope this goes through. And you're like, I'm sorry, it's declined. And it goes right there, right? What happened? What did I do? Oh no. Oh, wait, the money's there. It was just, I put in the wrong pin. I'm sorry. Like, I've had both happen where it was actually legit, like you have no money left. And then I've also had it where it's been, you know what, we just made a mistake. Oh, good, because I was really confused and I just traveled to the past when I had no money, and that was really scary. And oh, I'm so grateful for the abundance I received. Ah. So I've done that where I felt that tightness in my chest. And usually what I'll do is I'll grab my hand or grab a drum if I have one in my car, because when the weather's good and it's nice and cool, I can have drums with me in my car and just randomly drum whenever I want. But in the summer, oh, it will ruin them. And so I just take a minute and I tap my chest and I breathe, and then I choose a statement I want to believe. So, oh, I get to have everything I want. Okay, universe, you hear that? I'm asking for it. Or even a prayer, like, Heavenly Father, this is really what I need right now. Please help me to have all the things that are for my good. Help me to understand how I can increase my love, my giving. Help me see what I need to do. Or even just one simple emotion. Worthy, 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 worthy. And you drum it in. And so that's one of the things that I do to help reset my mind. When rudimentarily, on a cellular level, my body's like, wait, this is the thing we've believed for almost our entire lives and all these decades. And now you say it's different. It's really hard for me to accept. Okay, we're going to choose to accept it. I choose to feel worthy. I choose to feel worthy. I choose to receive. Just receive. Just receive. Just receive. Okay? So I am going to drum just a little bit for you. And if you've been struggling with some of that receiving and having that beautiful abundance coming in, and if you've been struggling with allowing yourself to feel loved and supported and feeling like you can receive all the things and you get to, I get to get what I want. Oh, I get to get what I want. It sounds like a spoiled little 2-year-old, but it's not. It's like, no, really. Why should I get to only have things I don't want? That doesn't feel good. Why should I have to get things that somebody else wants for me? Why should I have to get things that I can have, not what I actually want? And so allowing yourself to say, oh, I get to have these things, and giving yourself some type of physical reminder like, hey, body, yeah, we get to do this now. Does that make sense? So here is some drumming. So allow yourself, pick a statement. If you still have a hard time, I recommend getting into some water or having a waterfall nearby or a little fountain or even just running water or slowly sipping water. Water helps the flow of money, helps the flow of energy. In Feng Shui, you always put water in the abundance and money and wealth and prosperity section of your room in your grid, which is, if you walk in the door, it's the far left corner. So putting a water element there, even just a beautiful glass of water that's like, hey, I'd like to have more flow and abundance. I'm going to put water here, and then I will drink it, and then I will put more water there, because that's what we want. We want the flow. So I hope you've enjoyed tuning into this just a little bit, and I will play a little drum for you now. Just think of all the things that get to flow. Thank you for letting me share. I love the singing bull drum. It's so awesome. Okay, you guys, have an amazing day and receive all the good things. Ugh, I just love it. See you guys.